but unfortunately, I go by Rolling Stone because they had Eddie Van Halen 8. What? I mean, I don't even.
On the greatest guitar players. On the greatest guitar players, yeah.
On the greatest rock guitar players, they had Eddie number 8.
Do you know who's won?
Hendrix.
Probably Hendrix, which he could be. You can flip. It's either Eddie or Jimmy. You can flip them, do whatever you want. But 8, they had like Keith Richards.
I
love Keith.
They had Bruce Springsteen on that list, which I was surprised to see.
I know, which I mean, you know, I love Bruce Springsteen. Tim was better than Bruce when he was 14.
Hey, gang. Welcome to That Song, Though, the podcast that talks about songs that matter. It's Mike and Tim as usual, but we have a very, very special guest with us tonight, California resident Kyle Couric. And we're so happy Kyle's with us. Today, our theme is going to be the state of California. And Tim and I are pretty unqualified to talk about that topic. We felt pretty comfortable talking about New York in episode 2, but we had to bring in some reinforcements.
I have never been to California, and I want to understand California better. So, Kyle, you are here to help us understand California. We're going to dive into some songs that at least take me to that place. So I'm excited.
And that's what we do. We pick a theme on this podcast, and then we pick 2 songs, and then we dig into them, and we try to understand how these songs help us understand a topic better. We just think that songs have an unbelievable way of explaining things in ways that sometimes mere words cannot. Enough about that, though. We have Kyle Couric with us, and you know, I was just thinking, guys. Well, first of all, Kyle is a highly accomplished and credited composer, producer, performer, music engineer, audio engineer, gear geek, sports fan, has so many credentials. But we love having him here because I think our friendship goes back like 15 years.
Absolutely.
Does that sound about
crazy.
right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think that's actually right on.
Yeah. So Kyle was one of Tim's first guitar teachers when Tim was about 12 years old. And Tim is, I think, about 27 now. So, but
didn't have a beard then.
No. But also, Kyle currently resides in California, and Tim and I, you know, just didn't feel qualified to speak about California. So we called in some reinforcements. And so Kyle has selected a song from his point of view that helps us understand California a little better. So Kyle, what do you got for us as far as an important song that matters regarding California?
It's an old song. Thank you, Mike, and Tim. Thanks for having me. It's an old song, and I thought it was the late 60s or 70 or 71, but it turns out it was 1967, and it's "Are You Going to San Francisco," which was written by from the Mamas and the Papas. My gosh, what's his name?
John
the lead singer. That's horrible.
John Phillips.
Thank you,
John Phillips.
Thank you. And they do a great version. Obviously, he wrote it, so kudos to him.
Yep.
But I love. I think we talked about it, Mike. Scott McKenzie.
Yep.
And you can listen to a piece of music and maybe not even like it, but acknowledge why. You understand why other people like it. I love the song, but I really don't understand why I love it so much.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of it goes with I just heard it as a really young kid.
Yeah.
I know that sounds simple. I'm curious for someone who would hear it for the first time, because it's kind of like watching Rocky 1. I know watching that, you know, The Godfather, I know I saw that at a specific time in my life that it carries weight when things happen to you at a certain time. So, but beyond that, I love the tune.
Yeah.
I'm not even really talking about geopolitical East Coast, West Coast. There's definitely some of that idealism and, you know, love and everything. We're going to do it. The one thing I love about it, I mean, I can geek out on the production. I love the way it's produced. I just love that the singer is kind of like this. He almost has a regal kind of voice that is not a folk thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No,
That is
you're
not a
right.
folk
That's a
thing.
good
You can
point.
love folk singers. He's got this like
Yeah.
kind of it's almost this royal sound,
Yeah.
not royal, but you know what I mean?
do.
It's a little bit proper.
Yes.
And it does something to me. I get goosebumps now just thinking about it.
Yeah.
It just does something to me. And like almost all pop music, you know, the vocal, you can like other things, but the vocal is just everything.
Yeah.
So I just love that tune. I love the feeling. It makes me feel hope. And it's not even what they're even singing about.
Right.
I don't even know what they're singing about. I'll just be honest. It just something kind of hits you viscerally, and that's it. So
Awesome.
that's my tune. Are You Going to
Awesome.
San Francisco by Scott McKenzie.
All right, let's check it out right here.
If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. If you're going to San Francisco, you're gonna meet some gentle people there. For those who come to San Francisco, summertime will be a-loving there. In the streets of San Francisco, gentle people with flowers in their hair. All across the nation, such a strange vibration. People in motion. There's a whole generation with a new explanation. People in motion. People in motion. For those who come to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair.
Okay, so this might be super cheesy, but when I heard that, this is all I know about San Francisco, but literally I imagine like the little trolleys, you know, just like, you know, slowly going down the hill as he's just like going to San Francisco, you know?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I love. Like, you know, it's a great song, great production, whatever, when it's like painting that picture ultimately for you or putting you in that place. Like, you know,
Creating
and
an
so
image.
like, yeah, creating that image and then like putting you there. So it's like, you know, I, again, never been to San Francisco. I don't know a thing about it except it's really expensive. And I think maybe Apple's there or something. No. Anyway.
No.
But it's, nope. And, you know, yet I see these like, you know, trolleys and like Full House, you know, like all being like, you know,
Here's what
together.
I want to
It's
ask
really
our listeners right now as we're talking about this, as they just listened to that song. First of all, I'd like them to suspend whatever they think about San Francisco today. You know, good, bad, I don't know. I don't really know that much about it. I just know it's fairly controversial area.
Yeah, it's horrible now.
Okay, I'd like you to suspend that. Okay, and just kind of think about the time in which this song was written, and so you said late '60s, I think, Kyle.
Yeah, and just Mike, speaking of cities, I lived in Manhattan for 15 years, and it's just amazing, crazy town. I can understand why people it's a little much.
Yep.
I get that.
Yep.
But great city, and San Francisco, it is truly the only other city that I would have wanted to live in if I had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because it's the city by the bay. I mean, it's aesthetically just gorgeous.
Yeah.
The vibe there is wonderful. There's just a lot of things that have happened in the world.
Right.
And, however you want to put it. But it is just looking at it.
Yeah.
and the people and stuff. It is a gorgeous,
Yeah.
gorgeous city.
Yeah. And in that time, in the late 60s, there at least was right an interest in it being kind of a center of peace, and the hippie movement. And you can see how this song may have been a bit of a call to action, or a bit of encouragement for
That's interesting.
the hippie culture to make their way to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And around that time in the late 60s, there was an infusion of the hippie culture in San Francisco, and this song and songs like this may have been contributors to creating this image of people with flowers in their hair. And
yeah, and that way it's almost tying San Francisco to a higher identity almost. It's not just saying San Francisco, it's more like into this culture,
totally,
when you think about it. I love the xylophone thing that's happening or something, because it's creating this like dreamy magical land, that you can, like, let's go to San Francisco.
And it's interesting because I think you can almost trace the California thing, the movement of the 60s, obviously by the Beatles, just by the way they looked and what music was coming out. And this, you could tell, was in 67. This is still a little bit of that honeymoon period.
Yep.
Where the flowers in the hair, everyone's, happy and smiling. And then 68, you listen in 68, 69, it's still some of the greatest music ever, but it gets dark and quick.
Well, maybe the drug culture, right, starts
really,
to, I think the drug culture starts to infiltrate around that time, right?
Well, 66, 67, again, I always just go by the Beatles. We have Pepper and Magical Mystery Tour, and, you have Day in the Life and Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And
beautiful.
All You Need Is Love. You have all this amazing kind of psychedelic but positive.
Yep.
And then 66, 67, and then 68, listen to the Beatles, the White Album.
Yeah.
It goes way different.
Yeah.
Helter Skelter and then the Doors and Hendrix. It's just really, it's all great music.
Yep.
But this is when it was positive, and Vietnam had a lot to do with it.
Really good point. This was right on that honeymoon period, like you said, or right on the
you can hear it.
Yeah, you
it's
can.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's very hopeful. Like you said, it's positive, encouraging, but we know that it turns shortly after that. Awesome. John Phillips, Mamas and the Papas, who also wrote California Dreamin'.
Best reverb ever.
Which is an awesome song.
Oh my gosh, that chamber! Oh man. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's that, and some of the reverb they used on James Brown, but they had some great chambers back then.
Awesome. Kyle, great pick.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And by the way, folks, if you want to learn more about Kyle, go to KyleQuerec.com. Querec is the last name. And Kyle also has his own podcast called Music Minded. And Kyle, I do not know how you fit 5 to 6 minutes of so much information into 5 or 6 minutes of podcast, but I thoroughly enjoy it. So,
thank you, man.
I see it on Facebook and on YouTube. Is that pretty much the platforms you're on?
Yeah, it's Music Minded with Kyle Querec. And
we're going to move on to another song about California, but first, check out this message. Hey gang, this is Mike. Thanks for listening to That Song Though, the podcast that digs into songs that matter. There are so many great songs out there, but there are only some songs that entertain us and teach us something, help us understand something better. We call those important songs or songs that matter. And those are the songs that Tim and I dig into in the podcast, That Song Though. If you like what we're doing, subscribe, follow, like, all the things, and join us and help us highlight the important songs that matter.
Thanks for your pick, Kyle. We're going to look at a song that will help us understand California for those of us who haven't been to California. And I had to go with this song. It was either between Surfin' USA or California Girls, Katy Perry, which I love that song, which is hilarious, but it doesn't actually talk about California. It just says like, oh, I'm wearing a bikini. So it doesn't, that's not really California. So I had to go with Beach Boys, Surfin' USA. And there's a bunch of reasons why I went with this song, but I'd love to listen to it and dive into what we actually hear in this song, because I think it's a song that when we, if you just hear on in the background, you kind of, oh yeah, of course it's a classic. But when you actually listen to what's happening, there's really a lot happening musically, and I think there's a lot to be appreciated in terms of the place it's kind of putting you in, as we kind of talked about before. So let's take a listen, and we'll dissect it.
All right, Surfing USA.
If everybody had an ocean across the USA, then everybody'd be surfing like California. You'd see them wearing their baggies, Warachi sandals too, a bushy blonde hairdo, surfing USA. You'll catch them surfing at Nell, Ventura County line. Teacher, we're surfing USA. And Anchor Keys and Swan, outside Pacific Palisades, outside San Onofre and Sun, outside Redondo Beach and LA, outside all over La Jolla, at Waimea Bay, outside everybody's gone surfing USA.
Kyle, I feel like you don't like the song.
No. I that bubblegummy stuff is not my cuppa.
Yeah.
But I can take 20 things away from it that are just incredible.
Yeah.
From the vocals to the great surf guitar to I didn't remember that organ sounding so badass. It sounded great.
Yeah.
It's the Beach Boys. I mean, for me, God Only Knows Where I'd Be Without You is the greatest thing they've ever. That to me is for like a time capsule song.
Yeah.
But Barbara Ann.
Yeah.
There's Surfing USA. There's a bunch of things. I think this is more. Is this before Pet Sounds, Tim? Do you know, or afterwards?
Before.
It's before.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So this to me was the Mike Love Beach Boys, and I think the Pet Sounds was more the Brian Wilson.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that. I don't know.
I think you're right.
But this is fun and youthful.
Yeah.
And the doubling, the harmonies, the question and
Right.
answer. There's so many things that are just great.
Yeah. No, that was the thing that struck me again. We were talking about it a little bit before we started recording. That really struck me was how, being a music producer now, you're always looking at the textures and how to build a song. And when I listened to on my AirPods, I was playing just like prepping, and I was like, man, this is a big song. Like it feels big, which was very difficult to do in that time. So having the wide, the vocal just so wide, and even using the stop and go arrangement actually propelled so much motion within the song.
Yes.
That I was like, who does that, man?
Yeah. If you want to hear it, and I'm glad you said that, one of the biggest sounding songs ever is Good Vibrations. that production, make sure you take time, make sure no one's going to talk to you or argue with you, or the dog has to go out. Just make sure, just sit aside 5 minutes, put on a good recording and listen to it. You will be floored, Tim, as a producer, how great that mix is. It's Good Vibrations and God Only Knows Where I'd Be Without You. Those two selections that the Beach Boys had, that in and of itself gets them, Hall of Fame.
Huge.
But that one's fun. That's 18 years old with the Mustang and a milkshake,
It's fun. And, our objective is to, not even necessarily pick songs here that we like necessarily, but songs that kind of help us understand, and it starts off by describing, what a California person might look like, right? Hirachi sandals and
right.
And then it goes on to list, all these areas where the surfing culture was big in California. And
absolutely,
which I think, like you said, Kyle, it's just fun. It's fun.
Yeah, and innocent, even though it's
Yeah.
all about the girls and cars and speed racing and whatever and surfing. There really seems to be an innocence,
Right.
and a clean coolness
Yeah.
about it, like just a sea breeze coolness.
It
about
feels,
it,
which feels good to get back to. I remember, when I was, Tim, do you remember when this song was recorded?
This was 1963, 94.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah,
early.
so
It was that
60s.
early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense because the Beatles stuff was bubblegummy then too.
Back then,
great.
sure. Right. Yeah. Want to
Yeah.
hold your hand and all that stuff, right? So,
Oh yeah.
So I remember, in the late 70s, the Beach Boys had a bit of a resurgence, as they do every now and then. And I remember a bunch of us just kind of discovering, Endless Summer, the album, which is kind of a greatest hits. And we listened to this thing, and I would say the summer of probably my, 14th or 15th year, man, me and all my buddies were all Beach Boys. Grew our hair out, wore like the puka beads.
Do we have pictures of this?
Oh, yeah. I think someone has them, and they're going to hold them for a fine penny someday. But the point is, we thought we knew California, and we dressed California, man. We got the you remember the Velcro wallets?
Oh yeah.
The nylon and Velcro wallets. Wore our jammers all the
my
time.
gosh.
Yeah, because of this song, of these songs, because of the
Oh,
Endless
yeah.
Summer
That's
album. So music, can be that influential, and sometimes, people have said to me as we kind of do these things on New York and California, different regions, it's like, well, when you pick songs like that, you're kind of promoting a stereotype. Not everyone is like this, and while that is true, and you shouldn't judge anyone based on a stereotype, I will say that it was a couple years ago, Janet, my wife, and I were in Del Mar. Now, Del Mar is one of the first venues they mentioned in their list of surfing venues. We were in Del Mar, and it was Super Bowl Sunday, so it was early February. So Del Mar is really kind of close to San Diego. And I want to watch the Super Bowl. And so we go to Del Mar. Janet, wants to go to Del Mar, and we have an late lunch, early supper, so I can be back for the Super Bowl. And Del Mar is gorgeous. We're at this park. We're overlooking the surf, and there literally must be 100 surfers.
Oh yeah.
This is just a few years ago, surfing in Del Mar, and I'm just jaw dropped based on the beauty of this. And it's like, wow, I guess this surf culture is real in California. And I'm watching the clock. I think kickoff is like 6:00, right?
Oh, they don't care.
They don't care. Am I right, Kyle? They don't care. They don't care.
No.
I'm like,
Shouldn't
shouldn't these surfers be like coming in because the game is going to start soon? They don't care. They're doing their surf
I've
thing.
known, Mike. Yeah, there's the activity of surfing, which is big to the Beach Boys, skiing and golfing. Those three things,
Yeah.
I've known grown men that have taken different jobs so they can just do I'm not even kidding, one of those activities more. It's that important. Surfing,
Yeah.
back when the Beach Boys was everything, but it's never gone away.
Never gone away.
It wasn't like skateboarding where you see like,
Right.
once like in New York, I'd see like a businessman on a skateboard. It's like, that's cute. You're 38 on a skateboard with a suit and tie. That's cool. But the skateboards are kind of gone.
Yeah.
But surfing is always surfing, like skiing and golf. There will always be so many more people than you think.
Right.
And the Beach Boys were
They captured
everything about that.
They captured it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything else, guys, on this song? Production wise, it's huge. By the way, if you have not seen the movie Love and Mercy, right?
So good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of, I think, like a biography or an autobiography or a biopic about Brian Wilson, kind of the driving force behind the Beach Boys. And in that movie, you will learn he knew nothing about surfing or the beach environment. He knew nothing about race cars, but he could write a song, and he could arrange a harmony. And so. Love and Mercy, though, awesome movie. Whether you like the Beach Boys or not, but it really kind of dives deep into his journey, which certainly had its struggles. So, guys, anything else on this song?
Makes me want to go surf.
Let's go surf. Yeah, Kyle, it has been just an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
And
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and folks, kylequirk.com. Music Minded is his podcast. I check it out on Facebook. It's on YouTube. Again, a very, very dense 5, 6, maybe 12 minutes now with an interview. And thanks again, Kyle. And
Oh, it's my pleasure.
we'll check you everyone out later. Bye now.